Well, today we continue with our Sunday talk service, swimming in the flow of life, or perhaps another way to think about it is just going with the flow. Yeah. It sounds so perfect for this summer and yet so elusive. Well, we've been pondering a phrase from Eric Butterworth's book, In the Flow of Life, and that phrase is, God is a sphere whose center is everywhere and whose circumference is nowhere. Spirit is the allness, and each one of us is the eachness in the allness. Now, Reverend Butterworth is also known for another example, which is that wave and ocean, to help us truly understand our oneness with the divine. So if the divine, or whatever word you have, God, universe, spirit, if God is the ocean, then we are the wave. An outward extension of the ocean, yet never separated, and always one with the ocean. So this summer, as you're sitting on the beach and you're watching the water and the waves, see that symbolic version of you and your God. Well, Eric Butterworth also wrote that we are never farther away from this healing flow of life than the consent to let it unfold. So we took some time to explore consent and allowance and what gets in the way, and how we can more easily bring ourselves into a state of allowance. Here's the thing, though. Intrinsic in this idea of allowing and consenting is the presumption that the answer is already present. I often say that the solution, the answer is right here. I just can't see it yet. All the possibilities for our highest and best are already available. Our good is already here. It's up to us to allow it to unfold. And inspiration and ideas come to us when we truly allow ourselves to receive the flow of life. We don't have to worry about how to figure it out or what we're going to say. No, it's already within us. The divine flow is within us. And when we are in a state of fully allowing it to come through us like a wave, then the solutions and the words show up exactly when we need them. And yet we struggle. We struggle to get out of the grip of all that is of this physical or relative world. What we hear about life, what we hear about ourselves, what we hear and see about our world, and all that encourages us to stay powerless, unhappy, negative, and not even seeing that allowing or consenting is a possibility, is maybe even a solution. Well, to help us detach and settle into ourselves, the other week we offered various solutions, suggestions. We talked about how music, and we just heard that beautiful song, how music can slow us down and open us up. That even the breath can do that. Our wonderful Lisa McDaniel showed us the benefits of sound vibration with singing bowls and steel drums. We even discussed body movement or dance as a way to open ourselves up to the inner kingdom. So we need an open mind and heart in order to be quiet and settle in so we can truly flow. One way to develop that open mind and heart is through compassion or empathy and gathering a different perspective or challenging a current viewpoint, not of someone else's, of your own, challenging your current viewpoint, can help us open up our minds and our hearts as we become more compassionate and empathetic to others. Well, perhaps even to ourselves. Often we are told to walk 100 miles in someone's shoes, and then we can experience what they're going through. We can experience compassion or empathy. Well, for myself, I often don't know how to walk in someone's shoes, but maybe I can walk beside them and listen to someone long enough so that my shoes start to feel like theirs until my feet start to also hurt. An open mind and heart opens us up to an awareness of the flow of life. But I want to be clear. I want to be very clear. Having an awareness of being in the flow of life does not mean that you will never have any problems, that you will never have any heartaches. No. It will, however, mean that right where you are is the potential for a solution, for the answer. Right within you is the kingdom of heaven. And yes, there are lots of problems and issues that need to be solved, that need to be rectified so everyone can receive equal justice and equal opportunity. This is serious business. These are difficult days. We need to really make a commitment to focus. So what should we do? Well, in addition to the past several weeks, where we offered you suggestions, I have two more suggestions. Are you ready? Okay, here we go. You might want to write these down. You ready? Okay, here they are. Play and rest. Yes, no fooling. We need to play more and we need to rest more. But let's get clear on what we mean. Now, if we were under 10 years of age and we said go play, we would need no instructions. We wouldn't need to say, well, what do you mean by that? Okay. But here we are. We're adults. And many of us feel that we're adults and we don't play. Well, so I'm going to give you a definition of play. And as adults, you all might want to write this one down. Okay. Play is an absorbing, apparently purposeless activity that provides enjoyment and suspends self-consciousness and a sense of time. It is also self-motivating and makes you want to do it again. Now, that definition is from the book, The 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership, a book for those in corporate leadership. The authors state that the topic of play is the one that is met with the most resistance, second only to the suggestion of rest. So what do we mean by rest? Well, we're not talking about collapsing at 7 p.m. every evening. That's not what we're talking about, no. Sleeping in this context is not rest. Sleeping is sleeping. Rest is more like the pause, making a conscious choice to settle and to remember who we are. Now, as you've heard, next month I'm going to be on a sabbatical. And many have said to me, well, what does that mean, a sabbatical? Well, specifically, it can have a lot of different meanings. And yet, when you look at the meaning up in a dictionary, you're referred to another word. And that word is the Sabbath. So, what does the Sabbath mean? Well, the true meaning of Sabbath is rooted in the Hebrew word Shabbat, meaning to rest or to cease. It's a day of rest, or has been a day of rest and worship, fundamentally tied to both the sensation of work and the remembrance of God's creation. It's a time for spiritual reflection, connecting with your God, connecting with community, and finding both physical and spiritual renewal. Now, Christians and Jews might know this word because it appears as one of the 10 Commandments. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Now, what I find interesting about this, it is the only commandment to begin with the word remember. Most of, if not all of the other commandments are thou shalt or thou shalt not. All right? This is the only one that begins with remember. And in that one word, remember, is the truth that we already know. We already know this. Well, know what? Well, that in a time of rest and letting go of work, letting go of striving, of worry, of manipulation, we will remember that we are one with the divine, that we all reside in the inner kingdom of heaven as an eachness in the allness, and that each one of us has come here to be the light in the world. Now, does this mean we should not even get out of bed on Sunday? No. Okay? Just saying, no. But it does mean that during each day, not just once a week, not just once, 1 month out of a year, instead, every day, we should take time to rest. Again, it doesn't mean to sleep or to take a nap, but if you need to do that, that's okay. Do that. Okay? Instead, it means to relax and just be. Perhaps to think of rest as taking refuge. Once a day, take refuge from all the worries and all the cares that this physical or relative world drops at your doorstep. We can acknowledge all these cares and worries and yet say, not now. Not now. I am taking a conscious and intentional rest, a pause, a moment in time when I can breathe and just be. Maybe you'll meditate, maybe you'll go for a solitary walk, or maybe you'll just sit and disconnect. I was reading about a suggestion someone had for a rest box. And in that box, you might have a list of all the disconnecting items. In this time of rest, I disconnect from my cell phone, from my computer, from my TV, from any electronics, so that I may create my refuge, my sanctuary. In this time of rest, I will disconnect from consumption, online browsing, and unconscious buying. Disconnect from work and business. Disconnect from those things that do not bring us joy or put a smile on our face. In this time of rest, we bless all that is in our lives. May all beings feel love and peace. As I was putting this together, I wondered how much of our problems in our country are a result of pure exhaustion. A time of rest allows us to be deeply aware of the flow of life within us, not to waste it, but to honor it. And we need to rest in order to sustain this life energy. If you read the Christian Bible, there are many, many stories of Jesus just getting up and going apart. He didn't check to see if everyone was taken care of, if everyone was fed, even if everyone was healed. Now, sometimes the disciples went with him. Sometimes he went by himself. Many times he went alone to simply rest. So I invite you to consider your own time of Sabbath. Perhaps like you do in your time of prayer, you could light a candle and state that right now, I am going to pamper my soul. I am going to pamper my soul. We take a step back and see that it is all good, and that we are good, and that we are the light in the world. You know, I remember growing up in Pennsylvania, how all commerce stopped on Sundays. Anybody else remember that? Anybody else? Yeah, wow. There was no shopping, no movies, no bars that would be open. You stayed at home and rested, and maybe even played. So, yeah, let's go back to play for a moment. Play is just as important as rest. And we can feel just as guilty at playing as we can at resting. Isn't that wonderful? So yes, we can play. Play is essential for our soul development. It releases us from all that we should do or must do or don't want to do. Play is not serious. It doesn't require hard work, effort, struggle. I love watching my dog Abby play. And in fact, she, if truth be told, is the main instigator of play for me. The only outcome of her play, and she plays without me too. She doesn't really need me to play. So with or without me, the only outcome is for her to have fun. She doesn't worry about how to play, nor does she feel self-conscious. But you've probably seen that too, even if you don't have an Abby. Anyone have children? Anyone have grandkids? Yeah. I have a great niece, 6-year-old great niece, and she often comes up to me, grabs my hand, and says, "Let's play." I have no idea what's going to happen. I don't think she does either. But I know better. I just say yes, and off we go. So making time to play fosters creativity for all those who need to have, why would I play? Here's your reason, okay? It fosters creativity and actually energizes us. Taking time to consciously play in any way at all for as much time as you can has major rewards. If you're stuck on a solution to a problem, go play. If you're upset over an interaction and you don't know how to set it right, take time to play. Want to let go of worry and fear? Go have fun and play. So here it is again for all you people who need the definition. Okay? Play is an absorbing, apparently purposeless activity that provides enjoyment and suspends self-consciousness and a sense of time. It is also self-motivating and makes you want to do it again. It can feel like a natural part of rhythm of your life. Yes, it can be a hobby. It can be a skill like knitting or photography or bird watching. And it can be a walk in nature, but if you've got one of those watches that counts all your steps, leave that at home. It can be coloring, right? It can be drawing, playing a musical instrument, or just acting silly. This week, get reacquainted with you and the rhythm of your life. When is it time to play? When is it time to rest? What brings you joy? Our world, our country, desperately needs well-rested people who know how to play and know how to laugh. Our country needs those whose souls are rested and energized enough to see what so many others cannot see, and who know how to shine their light in the darkness. This week, go apart and rest and become aware of what brings you joy, and then let yourself play in the flow of life. Namaste.